You can see the 3 matches today along the left side of your screen. It's going to be Singularity Ninjas versus Movistar Riders to kick us off today. Then it will be Dignitas versus Hammers Esports. They are both in a 1-2 series score right now, so they are both fighting for survival definitely today. And then the final match of the day will be Misfits versus X Alternate. And Misfits right now is sitting at a 3-0 series score. X Alternate is at an 0-3, so Misfits very likely looking to punch their card to the playoffs today.
And this group has been really competitive in terms of a high level of competition. Not necessarily competitive in terms of parity across the board like we saw in Group A, but Movistar Riders and Dignitas have looked like pretty strong teams, and a team like Hammers has been struggling to stay afloat in this competition. So really important games as we get down to the second to last day today, especially in our second game of the group.
Well, our first match of the day, again, it's going to be Singularity Ninjas versus Movistar Riders, and both of them are sitting at a 2-1 series score. So again, sitting near the top of the group, also trying to find their way out to the playoffs as quickly as possible. Of course, there is still another day of games tomorrow, and every team has to play every other team. So definitely not an easy task for anybody at this point. The first map today is going to be Numbani for our first BO3, so we'll send us into the game here. You can take a look at the attackers and defenders. Go ahead.
The thing with Movistar Riders, sorry, not Movistar Riders, Team Singularity Ninjas, the Danish team that we've currently got playing now, is that they've been performing slightly better than you would have expected so far in this group. And they've still got 2 pretty tough games, including this one, to close it out. So although they're in joint second place in the group at the moment, this could be where things start to get worse for them in terms of their seeding overall. But so far, they've actually looked really good with the bringing in, most recently, they made the roster change of bringing in Lelouch instead of their former flex player, Honey. They brought in Lelouch, who had previously played with them on DPS, and he's been performing pretty well so far.
Good to know. I actually recall that name from many months ago playing in weekly cups, and actually I'm happy to see a lot of these guys still competing. I think European tournaments for me, I think I cast mostly back in September and October, and I still recognize probably 10 of these 12 players from back in then. So we're opening up now Swoosh on the Genji on defense. Looks like they are not really dive at all. Genji kind of being the only DPS to really have that mobility, but he's going to help his team out, ward off those attacking tanks. Lelouch, the attacking Genji, is going to be the first person to fall here. They're going to dive right onto Soldier, and defense seem to be holding strong.
And they've got a pretty strange composition that relies on Danny pulling out a lot of individual plays, I think. So he went for a flank there on the Roadhog, but he doesn't have a shield to play behind. He doesn't have anybody else that's really going to be flanking the same way as he does. They've actually moved Nerfed over to the Reinhardt now, so now they've got a bit more of a stable comp that can take the high ground. That's probably because they had a look over at the composition coming out from Movistar Riders and decided that they're not really going to put that much pressure on them. They can afford to play a little slower and wait for the picks.
Well, now they are taking that high hallway approach, and thankfully, you know, the defense of Numbani continues to evolve in such a way that no one's going to be there to contest them toe-to-toe. Actually, at the exit point, D.Va and Winston, of course, will jump up there to try and address them. Coming in, you can see the Matrix up already, and Winston finds the first kill onto Lelouch again. So this attack is going to stall out. They don't have any ultimates to work with. They're not going to try and attack 5v6. So again, just waiting around for their full 6.
Lelouch went in a little too aggressively there. Didn't realize that the rest of his team had been pretty heavily pressured back. And they're doing a lot of damage over to Nerf's shield. Finzy's really excellent at being able to pop up onto these high grounds as he is doing now, pressure them back out of there, and then be able to drop down to the point as well.
This time I've swapped over to Lelouch's view just because he has been the most aggressive in getting taken out. But Dragon Blade from Swoosh collects 2 kills before he ends up going down himself. Now it's a 4v4 actually breaking down on the point. Lelouch still has Dragon Blade ready to go. You can see the Primal Rage triggered over there. Mandatrozer is going to use his Tactical Visor, but actually looks like he needs to either run away or just find some new positioning here. It is going to keep him alive long enough to finish off those kills he was looking for. Neptuno in the streets, not able to make it back to the point without getting surrounded. Colsey is going to get a nice Helix Rocket to the face there from Mandatrozer, and it should be point A all wrapped up.
Yeah, they don't want to commit to this one, even though they could have potentially got onto it and stalled for a little longer. Neptuno would have had his sound barrier up, but they'd rather keep these ultimates alive for the second phase because there's a huge problem with snowballing. If they commit to that fight and use those ultimates and still lose, which they might do because they had a player disadvantage, and that would probably translate into a health disadvantage, and they use all of the ultimates as well, then they're just going to get rolled through the second phase. So deciding just to play it slightly more safely and keep the ultimates for this first bend.
Yeah, I think deflecting 2 attacks is still better than the average at this point on Numbani, so they should feel good about it. Sound barriers come out at the exact same moment on both sides, and Nerfed is the only casualty. No one else chooses really to commit any ultimates. Actually, though, it looks like Logix did find a kill onto Lelouch. He did have to use his tactical visor to find it, so 2 ults expended here on the defense are enough to hang on to the cart again, and this is all about clock management at this point. You've got the attackers returning from a very close-by spawn, but if the defense do get wiped, they know they'll have time to defend again before the checkpoint itself. So Lelouch has the Dragon Blade out, but actually it looks like he got put to sleep there before getting taken out by Neptuno with the killing blow. But again, that Dragon Blade got nothing for it, so offense stagnant once more.
They actually used the Dragon Blade on Swoosh as well, so both Dragon Blades just kind of met in midair and clashed together and then cancelled each other out, so both fairly impactful DPS ultimates. It may come down to how they use the Earth Shatters, though, as they pop in the self-destruct as well. That goes really deep to the back line. Not going to find anybody, though, and the rest of the attack really far in here.
Every ult that gets committed by the attackers just gets stomped out so quickly. Even the Earth Shatter there, Reinhardt gets surrounded and eliminated before any of his Earth Shatter victims can be taken out. Danny here with the Roadhog actually was doing some nice cleanup, though, around the cart with the help of his trusty Ana at his side. He's got a Whole Hog ultimate ready to go, and that checkpoint is getting ever so close. Kolsty on the defending Reinhardt. I'm going to take his POV just because he might be able to get in there and contest. It looks like he is going to take the charge. He's also got Earthshatter ready to go, so he's waiting for that brilliant opportunity. Mandatrozer goes down. Long range, nice kill there. It looks like there's a nano boost on the attacking side. Earthshatter on the cart itself catches several, though. Kolsty definitely doing his job, and defense will find a couple of kills they're looking for to stay in control of the cart.
Finzi's moved over from the D.Va to the Zarya, got a nice pick onto Mandatrozer, but the problem is they've chosen to move away from the D.Va just as Mandatrozer's going to come up onto his Graviton as well. So although they've moved away from the D.Va, there isn't that... it's going to be slightly more difficult for him to build it. It doesn't actually matter. He's on 90%. And although the defense has moved up, they're going to have to face this Graviton in a couple of seconds.
Here comes the Dragon Blade from Swoosh, diving right in. Zarya Bubbles actually deflect the first couple of swipes, and that was a very interesting Reinhardt interaction there. Lelouch and Kolsty both go down, so it's a 5v5 right off the bat. Swoosh didn't get anything for his Dragon Blade either, so these Genjis are just bouncing off of their targets, not being too effective so far on Numbani. Still watching Swoosh here get caught in the Graviton Surge, dashes right out, and does manage to help take out Mandatrozer's Zarya. Logix with the tactical visor pouring in that damage.
Didn't find too many of them. Now the Dragon Blade popped out. Lelouch going to try and use that one in. They found the pick onto Neptuno as well. He's carrying on going forwards, and Kolsty knocked to the floor. And Nano Boost used as well. They're expending a lot of ultimates here. They've still got a couple left in the bank. And Movistar Riders look like they're going to fall. This second checkpoint here should go the way of Team Singularity Ninjas eventually here.
It was very close. I mean, Swoosh and Logix were both there. If they had maybe just run different directions from each other, may have been able to stall out, and Finzi did return in time just to be totally destroyed there, but the checkpoint is finally going to be secured. You got 2 minutes left on the final stretch with 3 ults to work with. Nerfed on the Earth Shatter could be a massive one here. Swoosh getting another attempt here at his own Dragon Blade. Lelouch and Swoosh, I think Dragon Blade kills have combined for only like 3 between the two Genjis so far in this Numbani match, so maybe Swoosh can get a better look this time.
Well, here he goes in. He gets the Zarya bubble as well to make sure that he's not going to get slept immediately, but he gets slept a little later as well. Couldn't quite bait it out of the enemy Ana. And now the rest of his team coming in to try and make sure they shore up that defense and block everybody out. They had to commit the Earth Shatter as well, though.
Yeah, the Earth Shatter actually was pretty significant, though. I think Kolsty hit quite a few there on the cart, and it did force them all back, whoever wasn't actually killed in the mayhem. So Nerfed will have his Earth Shatter this time around. They're looking to try and close it out with this last push. I think Singularity have significant odds to maybe clear the cart one time, but to actually finish the point, I'm a little unsure here. Lots of ults adding up now on the side of the defense. Logix has that Nano Visor. Finzi's got a Graviton Surge, so it's going to be tough.
And difficult for them to deal with the Pharah as well. They get caught in the Graviton, Swoosh piling in damage from on top. They go in with Finzi as well, and a huge hammer blow from Colsty. So much damage pouring out of these guys just with their default attacks that they've wiped that just with a single ultimate, the Graviton, and now only 30 seconds. So they've still got 2 more ultimates left. They've got the Tactical Visor to try and wipe people.
Danny just took such a late death. I actually swapped over to his POV because he was one of the few people alive with an ultimate on the attacking team, but then he gets surrounded on the high ground, and Roadhog's just a little bit too slow to get out of there, and Pharah, the switch there from Genji to Pharah actually is going to be significant here. It looks like a lot more damage is actually coming out onto the front lines, but we've got Lelouch with the Dragon Blade trying to take out a nano-boosted Logix with his visor up, and Logix finds 4 kills instead. Defense hanging on in the end. Great round altogether, honestly. They had stops at all 3 stretches, and you don't always see that. Looks like Movistar Riders definitely giving themselves a good chance of taking this first game.
It speaks to a lack of understanding of what ultimates they had up on defense there, though, from Team Singularity Ninjas, because their entire plan was to sit quite passive, wait for their Nanoblade to get up and try and use that to clear the cart completely. But a Nanoblade into a Nanovisor is almost never going to work. That Nanovisor puts out so much damage, and the fact that the Genji you can dodge around essentially makes no difference if you're locked onto him with an aimbot anyway. And you just get sliced through the health pool so quickly, despite the damage reduction from the Nano Boost on the Genji as well. So when those 2 ults go head to head, it's almost always the soldier that's going to get the better end of it.
I always liked, right when Ana was becoming popular there, people were really trying to figure, actually realizing that how incredibly strong she is, that we were trying to figure out the Nano Visor combo names. I think my favorite one back then was the Lawnmower, because that is actually what it sounds like once you actually are behind the wheel of the Nano Visor. You just cut down everything in front of you, and Genji on that last attempt with the Dragon Blade was just up in his face way too much. The deflect only lasts so long, and then it's just instant 200 damage pouring out of that gun. So just waiting right now. Some players are restarting their games. I don't know what effects it was having on the previous round, but hopefully everything will be back up to 100% here in just a moment. I would say the most surprising thing for me was actually the first point. And the composition that they ended up using to actually take the point was pretty tank heavy. They actually went away from Winston and D.Va and went to the heavier tanks, and it actually kind of carried them through the map pretty well. I think just a couple of ultimates not hitting their full potential is really what slowed them down to the point of not being able to finish.
Yeah, they were playing a lot of triple tank all the way through with the Roadhog, Zarya, and Reinhardt, just mostly through the payload stage, like all the way to the second checkpoint, but they couldn't break through the choke, and they didn't have the verticality to be able to send people up top and behind. So it's very difficult to break choke points with tanks unless you're using the ultimates effectively. And around that choke point, they didn't have a Graviton up that they could particularly use. They used it to get the second checkpoint, and then they didn't have an Earth Shatter as well. They'd already used that. So they used all of their major ultimates just to get the second checkpoint, and decided not to go with a 2-2-2 or more of a composition that just has any kind of flanker in it. Like if you get a Tracer or a Genji in behind, you're going to break open that choke point a little better than if you're just trying to go into it straight with a triple tank and then a Genji.
I also noticed the last big fight, when there was about a minute left and about 4 ultimates on either side, that the defense actually was very proactive with theirs. They actually rushed forward and popped the ults before the engagement, because none of the ultimates really were defensive. They were all just, the delete variety where Soldier could just run in and try and pick someone off very quickly. So the defense really never gave the offense a good look at an Earth Shatter or a Graviton Surge. So the composition really working out for them. I really did like the Genji to Pharah swap. I don't know if Pharah even died after that. Of course, she was only out for maybe the last 2 minutes at the most, but it made sense to me, the way that Swoosh was not really getting a lot of purchase with his Dragon Blades, and the fact that he was just bouncing off of tanks repeatedly made sense to me. So we're going to actually leave the gate this time with Pharah and Genji.
Yeah, they've got a triple DPS composition, but with a Pharah and a Soldier 76. So really important that Dante gets into position as the rest of their tanks dive in. Finzi gets hooked though, possibly going to get removed from mech if his defense matrix runs out. And that's a huge loss for the team. He removed all his survivability and mobility there. And Danny gets another hook onto the other tank. The Winston falls. That's going to be a quick loss for Movistar Riders on that attack.
Yeah, the fact that you lose the Diva suit potential immediately. Someone else died actually right off the bat, so any hooks after that were just, I guess, ancillary to the point where they've already basically won their defense in a 6v4 advantage with no ults on the board. So good hold there for Singularity Ninjas, proving that they're not just going to get rolled over. They're definitely able to hang with Movistar Riders despite the first attack not being completed. And we're back for round 2 here. Winston and Genji trying to dive up onto the high ground. Soldier and Ana are up there. Finzi here as the Diva actually gets a Roadhog hooked away from his targets and loses his suit. So another strong start here for the defense.
Danny's got the whole hog as well. If he can put himself in a position, gets the hook, swoosh goes down. That's a big pick. But Dante's nearly got his tactical visor up, and the attacking team here, Movistar Riders, are almost going to have a plethora of ults to use if they can just stabilize a little bit and get Finzi back in his suit. And here we go with the ults.
So quickly, yeah, the ults come flying out. Now Dante with the tactical visor on the high ground is uncontested. He finds his kill immediately onto Ana, but the whole hog actually on the defense manages to battle back. Great Helix Rocket there from Dante. Actually keeps Movistar still fighting on the point itself. Danny goes down with a nice combination of Helix Rocket again. Mandatrozer pops his ult right in the face of Farah, who's got a barrage ready. Lelouch finds the soldier at the very last second there to end his reign of destruction. The deflected barrage is actually what killed off the Farah there, and it's about a 3v3 on the point. Primal Rage from Nerfed should be able to buy his team enough time to return to the point safely, but this has just been an incredibly long fight. 1 minute and 40 seconds is not a ton of time left for the attackers. Sound Barrier comes out on both sides. Primal Rage finally going to be triggered by Colsey to knock people maybe off the edge. Not going to find that kill, though, so fight still anyone's game.
Dante's got a decent position up top, but Lelouch uses the Dragon Blade just to deal with their Soldier 76, who was so impactful in the last fight. Well, this has basically just been all one fight at the moment, but in the last stage of the fight, Logix gets picked with a nice right-click into Helix Rocket air shot there, and a large amount of damage removed, but these teams are still taking it so close.
Swoosh just had a massive play as Genji deflect kill actually took out Mandatrozer and Danny during the same deflect, and killing those two in the back definitely should have helped his team. They know that the point itself is soft right now, but there's just not enough offensive power left alive to continue coming in here. So surprisingly, Singularity Ninjas have actually held this for over 3 minutes now, and we are in final fight territory with basically nothing to work with. Dante has been massive on the soldier, but keeps getting shut down whenever he gets a kill or two. They're like, oh yeah, soldier's back, need to take him out, and Lelouch did a great job dealing with him last time, but there's a tactical visor ready to go here. No nano boost to help him out, so it's going to have to be a valuable one on his own.
And even though Dante's putting in quite a bit of work on the Soldier 76, the fact that they don't have the heals or the nano boost from the Ana is really like hurting this attack. I'm not a big fan of the solo support attacks in general, but they were making it work to some extent. They looked like they had really good positioning, but as this fight gets longer and longer, the more ultimates that are stacking up here for the Danish team of Team Singularity Ninjas, they look like they're turning it around.
Well, Swoosh is going to get taken out there in the last second, and now overtime is triggered. Basically, there's no one near the point. The nano boost goes out onto Winston just to deflect anyone trying to run in the last second, but that's a game over right there. Singularity Ninjas with a full hold on Numbani A. I think that is something I was not expecting coming in here, especially after Movistar Riders had a nice defense there in the final stretch. So they just couldn't get it together on offense, and the solo heal Lucio had to be the culprit, in my opinion. I think Dante was doing such a good job killing things, but had no support to let him keep killing things.
Yeah, I think they could have done that with a triple DPS solo tank with a double support, and I don't think they were actually missing the heals as much from the Ana. It's more the utility and also that hugely impactful ultimate that she has. You know, if you pair that onto your Genji or onto your soldier in an ultimate, you have the finishing power to be able to take the first point of Numbani. But instead, they just had to find the kills basically using their default attacks, and you don't have that much power in all of your attacks to burst through the two tanks with the two supports and get rid of the DPS players. They looked like they had the better end of most of the fighting, but they couldn't properly finish the point.
It's interesting. I think Lelouch's Genji actually was kind of a night and day for me when it came from offense switching over to defense. His defensive Genji actually was quite impressive, just shutting down Soldier repeatedly. I guess he wasn't trying to carry an entire point attack on his shoulders. He was able to 1v1 a little bit more successfully. So looks like Volskaya Industries is actually going to be our next map, and we are also swapping sides. But game 2, going to Volskaya, kind of interesting. What do you think about this assault map coming up so quickly here?
If you're going to pick Volskaya as your loser's pick, you've got to be confident on it, or at least have some kind of plan. It's the kind of map, Assault and Volskaya in particular, where if you have a good strategy on it and you feel like you have the advantage over the other team tactically, then you can get some really great games where the team's really fluid and knows exactly how they want to execute. And you're putting your opponent in an uncomfortable position because it's not a map that people generally like to go to, and assault maps, on the whole, require more strategic execution than escort or hybrid. So I'm expecting to see some kind of interesting plan or interesting attack composition here from Movistar Riders.
Yeah, and just to reiterate for the folks at home, there are 2 assault maps in our map pool today. The first map, Numbani, is pretty much randomly selected by the tournament organizer, so that leaves 2 assault maps and 2 others available to be picked. And Logic's just immediately for Movistar Riders saying, Volskaya attack please, knowing that they're going to come right here. So they must have something in store. It looks like dive composition is going to be locked in very early here, so they must be practicing it on assault. And I think the pro teams, or even aspiring pro teams, have really been practicing assault a little bit more just because they realize it's not going away, and that if they're going to continue to play on Volskaya, Anubis, Hanamura, they need to actually continue to practice it. So I like seeing some teams actually trying to specialize there to try and grab some free wins on occasion in an event like this where they have that possibility. We'll see if Singularity Ninjas are going to have the defense needed to add up here.
They did actually do this in a previous match against Dignitas. When they lost the second map, they took it to Volskaya and won out the series there. That's Movistar Riders. So they definitely have some plan on the offense, and it worked out well against Dignitas that time. And they're running Dante on the Zen with the triple DPS composition, trying to contest them on the high ground. So getting a lot of split between the objective and the top. They've managed to knock them down, but they haven't really converted any of the kills yet.
When I saw Nerfed on the low ground there, I was thinking, go kill him! Like, Reinhardt's actually by himself, and he is eventually kind of the first one to fall there. Danny and Lind go down as well, and Swoosh really showing up here. 3 killing blows there in the last few seconds is going to be enough to grab point A. They had already had 2 ticks. The defense, after losing their 2 tanks, really couldn't do much on their own, and that is going to be a point A capture with 7 minutes on the clock to get through B.
And in terms of their ultimates, they're in the lead as well, but it's the 2 DPS ultimates that are going to be up first, the Dragon Blade and the Tactical Visor. If they can put them in a good position, if Finzi can get a nice flank with the Tactical Visor, that'll really set them up for this fight. But they want to engage quickly, I think, as soon as they have these ults up. Maybe wait for one of the support ults so that they can engage as well.
I flipped to Logix just in time to catch the Ana Pulse Bomb and follow up on Lucio. Lucio and Ana were actually together on the high ground in the back there, so the Pulse Bomb may have clipped Lucio even a little bit. Logix catches a hammer to the face, but just rewinds to get back to full, and the rest of the team did their job as well. The Visor from Finzi specifically finding the harder to hit targets. Genji and Tracer both fall there. Logix jumping back onto Ana, the first victim of his Pulse Bomb, and that's pretty much a wrap. Diva's going to try and get in here, but that's 2 ticks already secured, very, very close to finishing off. I'm going to go into third person here just to see the returning players and if they can use any ults. They actually have none available. Swoosh finding 2 kills again incredibly quickly. Should be enough for the attacking team Movistar Riders to lock it up.
Deloche, the last player left alive, had his Dragon Blade. It's not enough. Really well played by Movistar Riders there, locking up both of the points with 5 minutes 49 seconds left on the clock. They use the fact that you get the ultimate advantage from taking that first point on your DPS players so well. Lelouch and sorry, not Lelouch. The Swoosh and Logix had a huge advantage in terms of the ultimates that they'd built up because they had baited out Colsty on this first point, allowed him to take all of the damage, and then were mopping kills onto the rest of the Team Singularity Ninjas players. And then as soon as they had their ultimates up, they knew that there would be no ultimates to reply from Ninjas on the defense. They came in and stole it away. They got 2 initial picks early on, and then they used their ultimates. That's going to be a one fight every time. Really well played.
Yeah, I think Gotta give props to Logic's Tracer, specifically that Pulse Bomb, just to kick things off right onto the Ana means no Sleep Darts, no Biotic Grenades, 6v5 encounter right off the bat, and as the kills kept adding up, a single Tac Visor really was enough to find Tracer and Genji, the two that were already keeping themselves alive with defensive cooldowns, didn't have any rewind or deflect left at that point. So yeah, they basically just disassembled them on the second stretch exactly like they needed to, and you know, it's not going to always work out so perfectly like that. I think their Numbani attack A basically just got completely made up for, at least as far as the series score is concerned. They've given themselves a great opportunity to actually win this Volskaya map, and now all they've got to do is look just as good on the defense as they did on the attack. I think obviously Volskaya A can be very, very difficult to hang on to after an extended first fight, but B, you can really set up with a bunch of different looks to try to ward off that big ultimate rush that you see every time after they capture A. But here we go. It's going to be mass tanks as the order of the day. Expect them to go ahead and pick a staircase, either go through the garage on the left or head up on the right side. But it's really divey on the defense, so they're just going to scatter whichever way the attackers come through.
Just posted up on the top of this shack for now, doing damage to nerf shield. There's a triple tank composition on the offense, so they've got the advantage in terms of mobility for sure. They can move from high ground to high ground as much as they want here and pepper them.
Logic's already helping Swoosh take out Nerf there. The Reinhardt being down doesn't help things for the attacker. Logic's also gets the finishing blow there. Nice headshot onto Lelouch's Genji, trying to get up in his face. And the attackers are actually rallied all the way back at the choke now. They're going to wait for a full 6 before trying to break in again.
Lelouch is really going to struggle to get much done until he has his ultimate up, I think. And the attack here for Team Singularity Ninjas, I feel like they have to go behind. The way that they're going now and then round the back and up top to establish some kind of position. Swoosh goes into them, gets a Biotic Grenade. He's going to go down. Finzy's taking out the mech as well, surely going to fall or just be left alive for a little while. And this is not how the defense wanted to go. They kind of took the triple tank a little too hard inside that small enclosed space.
Yeah, I think the engagement itself was the problem, definitely the angle of attack. They have a composition built around being resilient and bouncing away, so trying to rush them down when obviously they have more sustain than you just did not really work out. And now we have several ultimates available rushing to B. The defense, of course, are going to be aware of this. They've got a nano visor themselves, Swoosh almost at the Dragon Blade. They have a decent amount of tools here to try to battle back, but it just depends on the order of everything. Mandatrozer could hit a money grab or not. Logix is going to pop the nano visor immediately to get the fight started here. Finds Zarya and Roadhog very, very quickly there. Now it's just nerfed alone, and thankfully they didn't really commit any ultimates. The attacking team just kind of walked into it. Once they started getting mowed down by the nanovisor, they kind of just surrendered, and now they've got a lot of ultimates to work with here on the next attempt.
And that was definitely a bait play coming out of Team Singularity Ninjas, because they didn't go in with the Nano Blade. They didn't sacrifice more ults than they absolutely needed to. They just popped in that Dragon Blade to try and get all of the all of the defensive ultimates, sorry, out of Movistar Riders. They are going to have an ultimate advantage here. It's going to come down to if they can win this engagement with the Primal Rage. They've already lost their Ana. Oh, that went disastrously for Movistar Riders as they came around the left-hand side. Such aggression coming out.
Movistar Riders actually did a good job.
Sorry, from Ninjas.
Ninjas, yes. Colsty's Primal Rage knocked 2 off the edge. At least that first Zarya is definitely credit to him, knocking right off the side there. So great. Actually, the fact that they had Primal Rage and they also chose to go through that left ledge side really worked out for the defense. Just kind of a freebie there, as they didn't really have the same number of ults available either. They've actually had 5 ults to work with on the attacking team that last push and here again. So they're going to again try this left side. They know that Primal Rage won't be popping out this time, so at least they're a little safer on that front. Lucio's here, try to boot people off, does get Mandatrozer again. That's 2 Zarya environmental deaths in a row, and now they're attacking without that Graviton Surge potential. They're already going to fall like flies here on the point.
That's their entire initiation just taken out immediately by a super aggressive, like, environmental play, as you were saying, both times. Neptuno was so aggressive there just on his own, but they wanted to ignore him because they were looking for a better engage onto the actual meat of the team. They need some picks onto the DPS players and try and find maybe Dante on Ana in the midst of the Graviton Surge as well. So they ignored Neptuno, but it was to their peril, because now they've fallen again, and the more time they take, the more ultimates are going to be up here for Movistar Riders.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be taking that ledge entrance again. They do have a flanking Roadhog, Danny, and Neptuno's actually going to run right at him and try to get the boop, but just doesn't quite have the angle for it. He very nearly got it. Lots of ults here available for the attacking team. I'm going to go into third person now, just in case they start flying out, but you can see a Genji actually get put to sleep in the back line. That's Lelouch going to be taken out there, and Danny somehow looks like he got environmentally eliminated again, or just jumped off the side once Lelouch died, but it seemed like they were battling him over there, and it's entirely possible that he fell off the side again. But lots of ults, 6 ults for Singularity. They just need one good attack. Why can't they get it together?
Yeah, 6 ults for both sides though. Finzy's only 4% away, and he's the only guy on the entire server that doesn't have his ultimate up. And that favors the defensive team really, because even if Team Singularity Ninjas get a really good initiation here, the spawn's so close that they're going to be able to come back in and use their ultimates anyway. That is a really good Graviton Surge though. Dante, Logix, everybody getting caught in that. They find the initial pick onto Neptuno. Attack Visor has been popped out along with that nano boost as well. They're losing a couple of players, and there's still the Dragon Blade out here for Lelouch. They might be able to convert this one.
My Reinhardt senses were tingling. I saw he still had Earth Shatter, swapped to him, and he immediately hit the button. But Sound Barrier is going to come out now here for the defenders. It catches 3. That shield is going to get burned through very, very quickly, though, and somehow Nerfed in the background is going to get taken out on Reinhardt just by the returning spawners there. And you still got Mandatrozer as the lone Zarya. He's like, hey guys, I didn't fall off the cliff. Why didn't we win? This is the first time I've been here for the fight. We took 1 tick out of the job. Pulse Bomb's going to come out. Mandatrozer, of course, able to shield himself and block out that damage, get himself a nice 100% charge as his team returns. That could actually end up being a backfire for Logix.
Yeah, Mandatrozer has done so well in the midst of that fight to stay on high energy the entire time and build up 75% of his ultimate just in mere seconds. So they're going to have a Graviton Surge when there's no ultimates on the board for the defending team. It's all down to Mandatrozer to hit this engagement, and he's doing so much damage as well to the rest of them. Here it goes, the Graviton Surge. Can they find anybody else? They've taken down Logix and Dante. Only 2 players left alive. Swoosh desperately trying to save this with the Dragon Blade as well, and Mandatrozer may have just won this for his team.
I mean,
just have to deal with the last little people.
Yeah, you've got the trickle coming in now. No Primal Rage from Winston. May is going to get swapped to by Swoosh, but I was watching Mandatrozer there, and it looked like he just 1v4'd them. He was just zapping through them so quickly. Of course, having the entire team at your back helps things out. They lost someone right at the beginning of that fight, but the Graviton Surge locked up Soldier and Ana. Mandatrozer got both of them by himself, spun around, zapped down Swoosh's Genji, forcing him to swap onto May. And Mandatrozer definitely MVP of that final engagement. No faults at all for him, and they do complete the second checkpoint. Now we're going to head into extra rounds, and it's going to be still Singularity Ninjas on the attack as they have far less time to work with. 1.5 minutes to try and capture point A is definitely not a sure thing. I think odds are still okay that they could try to grab it in overtime, but that makes point B basically impossible. We'll just have to see as they are going to have that first attempt. They really, really want that 3rd point. I think they'll be satisfied if they can get that, but the defense this time at least will know what they're facing this time and try not to make the same mistakes they did last time.
There's definitely hope for them, as you say, if they manage to capture this 3rd point and don't manage to get the 4th. You can hold B for 5 minutes 49. You
Totally.
Can't really hold A for 5 minutes 49. I think that would be far too much to ask. So if they don't manage to cap here in 1 minute 33, they're going to be in a super bad position. So they'll have to try and convert this triple tank composition into something that can get onto the point and win it. And I feel like they're going to feel a bit too confident about this triple tank Genji, because in my opinion, it was a failure from Movistar Riders that allowed them to get A, rather than great play from the triple tank offense.
So the real question here is, do I watch Lelouch as the only DPS player, or do I watch Mandatrozer as the Zarya that we know will kill everybody? This is kind of a question here, but the defense are all posted up on top of the health hut in the center here. It's kind of interesting, but it does allow them to react very quickly to wherever the attackers come out. Lelouch gets nuked down. Logix finds the Helix Rocket. They actually all turned on him essentially at the same time. So great start here for the defense. I'm going to watch Danny's Roadhog now as kind of a raid boss in these situations with no ults. He can just hook kill people, but Logix gets 2 more kills, so he is on 3 killing blows here in this first encounter alone, and the rest of the team, Movistar Riders, collecting all the rest of the kills. Nerfed is actually going to be in no man's land here. They're going to stagger that kill, and things are looking really bad now for Singularity Ninjas.
Yeah, this time when Team Singularity Ninjas went into the staircase room to take the balcony, there was absolutely no contest in there. They realized that their mistake last time was going into that tiny little room with them and taking the fight. They just stayed on top of the health hut and took down Little Hoosh as the only player that could do damage to them. And he switched over to the Soldier 76, which might be slightly better for this composition.
Well, I'm watching him now. The thing with Soldier, of course, is that you've actually got to land your shots and that he's not too effective at extreme long ranges like he's standing at right now. And it's going to be the complete opposite story for Logix, who gets his tactical visor ready to go and just jumps right onto the point, finds multiple kills. Mandatrozer is going to be the last person down, and that is a full hold on A. So we could have a very quick extra round here from Movistar Riders on their attack, as all they have to do now is secure point A. It looks like their pocket pick of Volskaya is definitely paying off.
Absolutely. They've really got a good plan of how to defend with this 2-2-2 composition that's got a lot of mobility with the Winston Diva. Playing from the center of Volskaya and just play very reactively to wherever the attack comes in. They've got a lot of room to maneuver around and contest high grounds with their players and focus down that individual DPS player. And I do feel like Team Singularity Ninjas were a little too overconfident in their triple DPS attack. They probably should have tried something a bit more divey when you've got a lot of utility when you've got those ultimates up, but you've only got a minute and a half to push. So it's really difficult for them, and they're going to run with a 2-2-2 now, but it's so difficult to hold this first point for 5 minutes 49. It seems almost impossible.
Yeah, it's a very, very tough task when you're normally given 4 minutes to defend, and it's impossible even then. And you give them another minute 50 to work with. It can be, of course, pretty disparaging here on the defensive side for Singularity Ninjas, but they have to give it their best here. They are up 1-0 in the series at least, so they know that if they do in fact fall here on point A, that the series will be going to a third game. At least they can continue on and try to get that series win. The series win is really the all-important aspect here, as in the standings for the group, you're just looking at series scoreline followed by head-to-head wins. So anytime they can wrap the entire thing up, it'll feel good for them. Nerfed and Dante are going to be the first ones down. Mandatrozer on the Tracer now is going to go down, and Finzi as well. So a bit of a bloodbath here in this opening bout, but we're still in a 4v4 situation, and the attacker spawns are closer.
Yeah, they did such a good job of focusing down the tank there, Nerfed, immediately. And they've broken that early hold onto the choke. So now they've got a lot more room to work with, and they've charged up a number of ultimates to about halfway. So this next fight, if they can get a couple of picks and bring them down onto the objective from that high ground, they can start picking players off one by one.
Lelouch is alone. He was so far away from the rest of his team. Genji spotted him and said, hey, Winston, help me dive this guy, but just barely survives the Winston leap thanks to Nerf showing up in the nick of time. Swoosh is going to fall there. 1 HP after the deflect is not enough to stay alive. Mandatrozer grabs a kill onto Winston as well, and that's a minute and a half already burned off, really. Danny really in trouble, though. Danny and Mandatrozer are both down now. That's really rough. Their spawns are going to be so far back, and there's Lelouch just feeding into it. I don't know why he decided to go investigate things when he had the high ground advantage on the opposite ledge with his Ana. They could have survived a little bit longer.
What are they doing?
I don't know.
Oh man, they just completely fell apart there. Team Singularity Ninjas decided to take fights all over the place. Individual 1v1s against the full triple DPS team. This is a crazy attempt to defend it, and as they trickle back in, it's not going to be enough. And Movistar Riders just pick them apart. That was very odd, though, as it got down to the final parts, because as you were saying, they were taking fights all over the place instead of just regrouping.
Oh well, Nepal attack, he says. There's no attack on Nepal. I want to be Nepal defense, to be honest. If I'm honest, I want to have that defense so that I can have my
I want to be in charge of the point.
Yeah, I don't want to attack Nepal, jeez. Finzi is going to get play of the match honors despite Mandatrozer's slaughter to help them actually win that attack earlier. It's not going to be enough here, Finzi. It's going to be favored toward the extra rounds here that they actually won the map, and that tactical visor, of course, did clean everything up. So good stuff there for Movistar Riders battling back into this series. We're going to be heading to a game number 3, and Nepal, of course, is going to be that selection. So a little bit of a, I guess, a world tour of map types. We had the hybrid Numbani, where Singularity Ninjas actually surprised us with a full hold on A. Then we took it to Volskaya, where Logix and company were obviously very well practiced with the strategy that they wanted to do. They, executed it pretty much perfectly from my perspective, and now we're headed to a control map for the first time between these two teams. Nepal, of course, can see a lot of different heroes come out, although typically you're still going to see either full-on dive or triple tank for most of them. The Sanctum specifically is an odd enough point that you can see some interesting picks, Junkrats, Orisas, and the rest actually all coming out on Sanctum at various points.
Movistar Riders have a really good record on Nepal as well, actually, so they won't be minding the fact that they've gone over there as the loosest pick from Ninjas either. They played against Misfits, and they actually took them pretty close. It went all the distance, full 5 rounds, and then they played against Dignitas and beat them, and they're a fairly strong team. And something that's so good about this Movistar Riders roster that they've only just started showing their true flavor of it is how much versatility they have. Dante was playing Soldier 76 when they wanted to go with the solo support push on Numbani. Didn't agree with it. Don't think it was a very good idea to go with the solo support. Not a fan of that particular composition, but it shows that he can play that kind of stuff. Finzi plays the Diva for them and the off tank, but he also plays the Soldier 76 when they play the triple DPS, and Logix was fantastic on Soldier 76, moves over to Traitor really good. Swoosh has been playing the Fire and the Genji. They've got so much versatility in this roster.
All right, I'm getting a production note right this moment that our Series 2 and 3 today are going to be swapped. Dignitas is having an issue with the player, so everyone is agreeable on actually switching things around. So the Dignitas match will be last today, and next up will be Misfits versus Alternate, but X-Alternate, excuse me. We've got the attack actually coming in here now onto the point for Shrine. I see Genjis on both sides, Tracers on both sides, only Finzi choosing to go with the Soldier, as we are going a little bit tank heavier on the side of Singularity Ninjas. Danny, as that Roadhog, can be very vital for getting those instant kills, especially on these pesky flankers, but Logix generating a pulse bomb so quickly and getting the kill on the enemy Genji really helps out Movistar Riders here. Lind and the Roadhog player Danny going to have to flee.
Again, with this composition from Ninjas, where they've got the Winston and Roadhog, it doesn't synergize particularly well, especially when you're playing into triple DPS with the Zen. Danny's going to have to hit some meaty hooks and really put value into the picks that he gets. Otherwise, he's going to be a pincushion for them just to fire at, generate ultimate from, and pick out.
Checking out Finzi's POV right now, does manage to kill off Nerfed. Winston dove into that left ledge looking for a soft target. Helix Rocket right on the money there against Lelouch. Finzi, excellent flick Helix, I guess you could call it there, but it was a nice snap reaction to take out the Genji as well, and that is going to give them even more percentage, 50% or so, by the time Singularity are able to actually battle for this. And Lelouch and Mondetrozer on the flanking DPS players, they really need to find those healers. I think the tank Kolsty is doing a great job actually bouncing to his Zenyatta and protecting him whenever these engages end up coming in. So Mandetrozer with the Pulse Bomb has an opportunity here to really open the door, but Lind is already down. Logic's Pulse Bomb number 2 taking him out.
And they've got them on the retreat as well. They're routing the entire side of Team Singularity Ninjas. They don't want to fight with their Ana down, which makes perfect sense because I think they were going to initiate with the Nano Boost as well. But that's an advantage that they have over the opposing team. If they can get that Nano Boost in, which generates more quickly than the Transcendence does most of the time, they can try and take this fight based off ultimates, but it's almost 80% already.
Watching Mandetrozer now, still does have that engaging Pulse Bomb, but no, he tosses it short. I'm sorry, Mandetrozer, I'll switch. Finzi has the tactical visor over on the ledge side. See that Genji actually, did he get put to sleep after getting nano boosted? It looks like he just flopped onto the ground after he turned blue there, and Dragon Blade never did come out, so I think he did actually get put to sleep. Sorry for not quite catching that. Finzi over on the other side, though, getting forced off, actually pushed off the ledge by the Primal Rage by Nerfed. He got multiple kills with that, and Lelouch did manage to survive his little nap time, and it was enough to flip the point in the end. 99% to 0 is not too great, but if they can manage to win a couple of battles in a row, they still could be in contention here on the Shrine.
And this is fine for Movistar Riders because they had to expend the Primal Rage and the Nano Boost in order to get that one on the attack. And they've got both of their support ultimates to try and get through, plus the Tactical Visor, and Swoosh is heading up to his Dragon Blade as well. So they've got a lot of time to work with, another 70 seconds for them to get back onto this point, and a lot of ultimates.
Watching Finzi again, just because Tactical Visor can be so strong, but both supports are already down. Lelouch's Genji really showing up here in conjunction with Mandatrocer's Tracer. They actually did a little bit of a squeeze play there and found all the kills that they were looking for very, very quickly. So that's another push deflected for Singularity Ninjas. They are happy to get that extra percentage now, trying to work all the way up to 99%. Again, if they lose one fight, this round is basically donezo. So Finzi still has the Tactical Visor. Last time both his supports died basically instantly, so he's going to now pop it to try and take out Mandatrocer's Tracer. He knows exactly where he's going to be recalling to, but can't quite get the damage he's looking for. There's Kellex actually being a little bit exposed. Nerf looks like he was a bit out of position as the Winston. They're going to get him down to extremely low health, but it takes a while to find the kill. Lelouch does have the Dragon Blade out now. He's slicing, finds the soldier, looking for a second on Winston. Can't quite get it. Has to get out of there with only 5 HP, and Kolsty does secure the kill there. Back onto the point. It's Logix versus Lind. Lind in good shape. Mandatrocer getting 3 final blows there to keep that point under Singularity's control. 80% now, and it's anyone's point.
They both played those ultimates really well. They pop Swoosh's Dragon Blade in to force out the sound barrier, reply with one of their own, then they've still got Dante's Transcendence in the back pocket whenever the other ultimates come out. They force out the Nano Boost from the defending team, but everybody on Team Singularity Ninjas splits their position apart. Just really well played by both teams to keep it super even between them, and it's into overtime for both.
Just trying to see. No one actually has any ultimates available. Normally I swapped right over to their POV, but it's going to be Lelouch getting a kill before going down himself. There is enough time here for Finzi to get in with the Helix Rocket, helping to take out Kellex. Now Danny is in trouble, taking a breather right in the middle of everything, and it's going to be Movistar Riders here for sure. I think the Dragon Blade should be enough to finish things off if he can in fact find his targets. Tracer, of course, can be slippery, and that last dash actually does get him away from the blade, but there is a visor active by Finzi to help with cleanup duty as well. The point will be flipped. Mandatrocer, props to him for surviving as Tracer that whole time, but it's not enough. Shrine will go to the team that started out 99-0. Movistar Riders, of course, only had to flip it that one time to take the lead here on Nepal.
Team Singularity Ninjas, though, gave them a run for their money, despite the beginning of the round really being a problem for them. As soon as Danny got his Roadhog on top of the point, he was actually pulling out the hooks. He was doing really well. Whenever Kolsty dived in on that Winston, he was finding the pick or finding a hook onto one of the DPS players that was zipping around. So he was certainly making that pick on a hero that doesn't have much synergy with the composition. It was certainly making it worth it just through his own individual effort. And now both teams going to be running this triple tank, which Sanctum is so much better for.
Here we are, yes, Sanctum. We talked about some different heroes could come out here, but it actually looks like both teams are just favoring Zarya, the old standby. Graviton Surge, of course. You can use Graviton to sink people into the pit here, but generally it's just a nice team fight mechanic. This point, the architecture is kind of weird. You really only end up fighting in 2 or 3 different places throughout the map. You've got this ledge where they're battling it out right now, the point itself, and then the icebox on either side leading out toward the spawns. Pretty much the only places you're battling, and Graviton Surge is very, very powerful in all 3 of those locations. So not surprised to see these Zaryas coming out here. Bubbles, of course, can protect you against Genji ults, visors, all kinds of things as well, if the timing is right. Finally, some deaths. Kolsty and Lelouch are going to be the first ones down. Danny falling extremely low, does manage to save himself, though. It looks like Movistar Riders do have the numbers advantage for this first fight.
Just so much more damage coming out of them. Swoosh has been put to sleep, though, and then hooked in. Danny's knocked on the floor, so weak, and he's actually going to fall. Finzi's really high energy, already generated that Graviton Surge, and they're going to be able to take the point here, despite oh no, with their ultimate. I was wondering where that tactical visor was coming from, but that was Logix popped it out, just to make sure that they secured the point.
Yeah, Logix, it was about a maybe a 5v4, maybe even a 4v3 by the time he actually committed to it, but he did have targets there, so it was enough to kind of sweep things out. 15% for them now as the attacking team here uses the nano boost. Looks like it's going to be Lelouch's tac visor that benefits from it. Shooting into the backs of the entire enemy team, they're definitely helpful. Soldier, Logix, that was a bit sneaky. Looked like he had jumped into the pit, but instead just found his footing there on the ledge. He does eventually go down as well, and they still didn't potentially get enough kills. No, they do actually flip the point there. Looks like the kills were a bit staggered, but in the end, it was still 6 people standing there. So Movistar Riders are going to get repelled back to their spawn point, come back in here with lots of ults to work with. I'm going to watch Polsty with that Earth Shatter potential.
Lots of ults, but they're facing against the Graviton as well, and if Mandatroza if they can do some damage to the shield, and then Mandatroza hits another money Graviton, as he did. Oh, look at that Earth Shatter, absolutely fantastic. Nerf dropped into the pit. Corsi almost follows him, but what a follow-up.
Yeah, it looked like the Reinhardt was going to just follow him right in. Lucio actually jumps in. He knows that he can get back out, but it is Movistar Riders taking 4 kills there, forcing Singularity Ninjas back. There's Graviton Surges on both sides now. This point is a little bit more even than last time, where it was just kind of 99 per side, but I do expect more flips, actually, just with the ults that we're seeing here. Graviton plus Whole Hog should be enough to kill whatever's inside of that black hole. It's going to be the red team, Movistar Riders, actually starting out, though, and they get 4 kills off the back of their Graviton Surge. Mandatroza can only hope to have one as successful when they get back.
And this shows you the power of actually being the first team to initiate, because Mandatroza's had that Graviton for a long time now. What's this been, like 30, 40 seconds? And in that time, Colsty's had the ability to Earth Shatter, generate another Earth Shatter, and Finzi has used his Graviton into them. So they just haven't taken the initiative and gone quick enough.
I don't think Colsty's used his yet. Actually, the Graviton was, I think, all they committed, but it's going to be enough, really, to kind of shut them down again. The Shatter plus tac visor this time getting the job done. Colsty does fall, but Logix is still shooting away. Gets another kill there onto Nerfed. Danny's going to fall under the gun now, but he is going to be at least a little bit safe here. The Sound Barrier comes out here, as well as the Nano boost onto Roadhog, if I'm not mistaken. Lelouch is going to pop his Tactical Visor and just start going nuts out in the middle of all these low health targets, but is it going to be enough to actually flip the point? Logix catches him from across the way with a nice Soldier v Soldier kill, and it looks like Movistar Riders will hang on 99%, but the Earth Shatter Nerfed gives them one last second hope to try and take this. Nerfed is going to get bashed with the hammer. Anna is the next closest, and overtime is already triggered. Not making a move for the point means it'll be a 2-0 to start us off on Nepal.
Colsty definitely getting the better of Nerfed in those Ryan v Ryan battles. He got some meaty Earth Shatters out, and in general was putting himself in a position where he was really applying a lot of pressure when they had control of the point, making sure that the attacking team of Singularity Ninjas was finding it incredibly difficult to get through the chokes and engage onto the point. But this stage here on Village, completely different. You've got a lot of open ground.
The Village does tend to play out a bit differently. Hit scan does come into play a lot more often just because you've got that high ground that you mentioned. Mandatroza is going to start out with McCree this time. This is the first time we've seen the Cowboy getting locked in at all. And sometimes once you get that high ground control, it can be incredibly hard to wrestle it back. No Mei in play. I think that was still my favorite interesting hero selection from the EU games last week. But Finzi as the Soldier here, actually not even in the fight by the time both Winstons are dead.
They took that fight over on the top right hand side, but got stuffed in the choke by Colsty, and now they've had to move their way all back around, and they need to deal with Swoosh as well. But they're just stacking the point here. They've got the composition to play from within the point, and Swoosh is going to find it really difficult to apply his damage inside there.
Looking at Mandatroza now, trying to lay in these shots from McCree at long range. Here's a nice opportunity for him to get the flashbang in, but Swoosh is on the Pharah. Did he start on the Pharah and I missed it? I think that must be the case, right? Because you wouldn't pick Pharah into Mandatroza's McCree. Logic's Pulse Bomb comes out, does catch Danny. Is it enough damage, though? It's not. Logix actually gets hooked in and eliminated instead, and this is the first time Singularity Ninjas have grabbed the point first. They're going to actually chase away this Soldier as well, and Swoosh is going to switch to the Genji.
I like that switch. The Team Singularity Ninjas composition really wants to deathball together and play inside with Nerfed and Danny. The bubbles protect a lot of those players from the Pharah anyway, and he's playing into the McCree, so this switch to Genji makes sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. Mandatroza is going to get 2 kills, though, right off the bat. Nice headshots, in fact. Unfortunately, I didn't have his first-person view, but it is going to be fortunate for Singularity Ninjas to try and get their first stage on Nepal, 51% and rising. I don't really know why they keep pushing their heads through this top exit. There are other ways to go. It looks like they're going to go for a squeeze play this time. Swoosh is going to go flanking with Winston and Tracer. They're going to find the enemy Winston right away, but Nerf, nice heads up there to get him out of there. And Mandatroser gets the high noon kill onto Swoosh, who had his deflect up, but his back was turned.
Still playing around this top left. Loads of ultimates on the board here for Team Singularity Ninjas. They've been in control of this for so long and doing damage to them as they come in through the chokes that they've got almost all of their ultimates online. The one thing they don't have is the nano boost, which is live at the moment from Dante. So with both of those support ultimates, they might be able to get something working. If they can pop it onto Finzi and have a nano visor, they could get a couple of these 200 HP targets down.
Lots of ults come flying out now, sound barrier included for Singularity Ninjas, who's already in control of the point. So if they can just win this fight, I'm watching Lelouch just stand here, really, while the sound barrier wears off of everybody. He had the Dragon Blade ready to go, so he's just waiting for them to get lower on health, perhaps wait for them to funnel onto the point, and it does pay off. Mandatroser as the McCree sinking in all those final shots just to make sure they get the point, 100-0. Quite a turnaround from what we've seen in the last two rounds. I have to give credits to Mandatroser on the McCree for the first time. Definitely took care of business. I don't know if he even died in that game.
I don't think he did, and yeah, like you said, it was really nice play. They looked so much more comfortable on Village, and the way that they avoided all of those ultimates at the end there, they completely duped Finzi's nano visor. When he came in the top right hand side, they just threw a Primal Rage Winston into him, and all of the rest of their players went onto the point. And they're all playing within the flashbang range, within hook range, all around the point, so they're kind of isolated. They know where players are going to come from. It was very well coordinated, that particular stage from Ninjas.
Here we are, Mandatroser back onto the Zarya, just rocket bouncing himself up to the point. I like that. Nice little bunny hopping from Zarya, but the first fight is going to take place in the same exact place as last time over here on the top ledge, and it is pretty much a mirror composition, except you've got no, it is a mirror composition. Roadhogs are complete on both sides this time. Mandatroser just pouring in those energy bombs as fast as he can, but Nerfed is going to be the first one down. That's a bad look for Singularity, but they managed to drop Kolsty into the pit. Nice hook and twist there from Danny. Dante falls as well, and it's a 4v4, so still anyone's fight. The hook and twist.
I like,
it's the new
I like the hook and twist. Oh, another hook! Another hook, and Swoosh hooks Danny into the pit after he'd already dealt with the Lucio as well. So just all of these Roadhogs having fun dropping everybody into the deep blue mist.
Yeah, just being able to instantly kill things turns out very valuable here on this Sanctum level, but Kellick's trying to get into the booping game as well, just barely manages to not boop Reinhardt off. Unfortunately, Logix is going to drop the Tactical Visor, and this extended first fight finally goes the way of Movistar Riders. I thought things were looking good for them from the onset when they got the first kill onto Reinhardt, but then the fight just took forever, long enough for Logix to actually get an ultimate, and now Movistar still have two to work with. Kolsty should be a big one here, and Nerfed still only at 64% means this is not even going to be a mind game. This is just going to be fire when ready for Movistar Riders.
Yeah, they definitely need to block this Earth Shatter, and then they also have the Graviton into a Nano Visor as well. Both of the Reinhardt's clash heads, Zarya bubbles on both of them, but Nerfed is going to fall. Kolsty's now got his Earth Shatter, uses it on the background. The Nano Visor has been used for Lelouch, but he falls into the pit.
He got pooped?
Goodbye, sweet prince.
I did not expect that. Neptuno was somewhere behind him. I was watching Lelouch actually the whole time because he was the only flanker. He had his Tactical Visor ready to go, and that's usually a sign some shenanigans are going to happen. He gets the Nano Boost, immediately Earth Shattered, and then booped into the pit by Neptuno. Great combination of plays there to prevent any deaths really at all on the side of Movistar Riders. They're in control of the point, but they're playing a recessed position until Kolsty can get back into play. Nerf has the Earth Shatter potential this time, but I'm watching Danny just blast into people until that sound barrier comes out here for Movistar Riders. It's enough to keep them healthy and retain the point.
70% for them as well. And this reply needs to come quickly from Team Singularity Ninjas, who have the sound barrier to try and breach through a choke point, and then they're going to have some kind of nano boost and an Earth Shatter, but they all rely on the execution as well, which so far hasn't been there for them.
This is their last chance. 86% is not a lot of time here. Reinhardt's going to get a nice Earthshatter and pin onto the enemy Reinhardt. Really good stuff there. Logix is going to start opening fire now with a Nano Visor and actually gets Lelouch and Kelix both taken out there. Graviton Surge only catches Finzi, so definitely not the most value they could have had, but they are winning this fight. So whatever it takes to try and flip this away from the 99% is going to have to be committed, and Mandatrozer and company do so. Singularity Ninjas finally get some percentage on the board, but this is going to be a long battle back, and they cannot lose a single fight from this point on.
Mandatrozer has been playing such a good Zarya just in his basics of the gameplay and how he's putting out damage and using the bubbles and stuff, but that Graviton there was ill-advised, I think, ill-timed. They only caught a single player, and they'd already used it once they won the fight, effectively. So now they don't have a Graviton, and Finzi's got that advantage, and Colsty's almost got that Earth Shatter up as well. He's going to use it. Doesn't actually catch anybody, though, but they're still winning the fight.
Good stuff there. Lelouch Dragonblade does, you know, it was a bit scary, I'll say. Oh, Ana does get that last shot. I was going to say he got a kill and got himself out, and that's all that really matters, but Ana did snag that last dart just in time to take out the Genji. There's a nano-boosted Zarya here. It's going to be Finzi, not Mandatrozer, though, and Movistar Riders have a potential to really clean house. Finzi finding 2 killing blows there. Nerfed is going to try to get a pin, but actually gets booped away. Looks like right before the connection could be made there. There's a nano boost onto somebody. It's a baby diva, of all things, right after losing the suit. That's unfortunate. Movistar Riders about to flip the point here, and at 99% means all they have to do is survive to take this map Nepal.
Mandatrozer uses the Graviton, doesn't really get... Well, I mean, it grabs 3 people, but there's no possible follow-up. He doesn't have enough charge. The rest of his team isn't in position, and that's going to be that for Nepal.
Good stuff. Movistar Riders, despite dropping the first map, they managed to battle back with a sneaky Volskaya pick. Nepal ends up being map 3, and they pretty much take care of business there. They had one slip up there with 100-0 on Village, obviously, but Mandatrozer seems like he can't do it all. I think obviously the Movistar Riders guys had better success with their single and double ultimates across that entire series. I think in general the coordination was just a little bit higher from them, and that is what allowed them to actually make the best of a bad situation. After losing that first game, they kept their heads and managed to stay in it long enough, of course, to win the series. So Movistar Riders will improve their series scoreline to 3-1. Singularity Ninjas will be 2-2, and again, Dignitas versus Hammers. You can see on the left side of your screen there. It actually is not going to be our next match. We are going to delay it to the 3rd match today, and next up will be Misfits versus Alternate Attacks, Alternate Attacks. Excuse me, I'm probably going to mess that up a few times just because I was looking forward to seeing them, and now I'm going to have to figure out how to say X every time.
They've got a lot of X's in their name as well. It's X Attacks. It's going to be difficult, you know. But they should just come up with a name, you know.
Yeah.
In any other esport, I'm sure whenever teams leave organizations, they actually, you know, use their brain to come up with some creative name for themselves rather than just adding an X on the beginning. I don't know why this is a trend in Overwatch.
Yeah.
But release some creative juices. Come up with a name, guys.
Like, I liked Bench Boys. I liked We United. I liked, you know, all of Too Easy's efforts have been spot on. But X-Rux and X-Alternate and X-Cyclone and X-Reunited all the way back then, come on, just think of anything.
It's terrible.
But I want to thank all of you guys for checking out Overwatch PIT today. This is EU Group B, day 4 out of 5. We're going to show you some quick messages from our sponsors because the teams are already getting invited to the lobby. So we want to keep the downtime to a minimum. Please check out these products that our awesome sponsors have to offer, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes with our next match.